Hi, we're going to talk a little bit about selecting cases. And it turns out that if you have a data set, sometimes you want to analyze the whole data set, but sometimes you only want to analyze part of it. For example, if you were doing research on political parties, you may want to study only Democrats or only Republicans or only independents. Now we're using a data set here that's going to be available to you, for you to use, and there's also a key so that you can see how things are coded. In this data set, the variable political party is coded 1 for Democrats, 2 for Republicans, and 3 for independents. So suppose I wanted to do some analysis and I only wanted to look at independent voters or people who identify themselves as independent voters. So what I would do is I would go to data. Actually, before you do that, I want you to notice that all these participant ID numbers here are just a listing of the numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go into data and all the way down to select cases. Now notice the default in here is to select all cases. That means all the data in the data set is available to be analyzed, but I want to use only certain data if a condition is satisfied. So I want to click on if condition is satisfied, then click on if. I get another screen here. So now I want to analyze only those who are independents. So I can say, these are my three, so I can say political party. I'm going to highlight political party and click on the arrow, and then equals 3. And I'm going to click on continue, and then OK. Now notice I get this output. This may be something I want to keep at some point, but I'm not going to keep it right now. Now notice if you have political party of 1 or 2, there's a slash through your ID number. This means that these persons are not going to be included in the data set because you've selected only using those who are of an independent political affiliation. So these are the 3s. So notice that the 3s here do not have the slash through them, but the other numbers, the 1s and 2s, do. Okay, so suppose I want to try something else here. So I want to look at marital status, and suppose that I want to look at those who are married and single is coded 1 and married is coded 2. There are actually 6 categories you can be coded on here. So I'm going to say I want the 1s and the 2s. Now there's a way to do this. I can say I want those who are less than or equal to 2. Okay, continue and okay. Okay, now notice I've got someone here who's a 4, and they're not included, but all the 1s and 2s are included. Let's see, most of this is 1 and 2. Here's someone who's a 3, another 3, and so on. So I only have my married and single people in this data set. Now I could do this in several ways. I said here that marital status is less than or equal to 2s. So I'm going to take people who have a marital status equal to 2 or a number less than 2, which is 1. But I could also say less than 3. And notice that I have the same people here. Because less than 3, let me get rid of this stuff. Less than 3 means I'm not going to be taking my 3s. I'm taking all my 1s and 2s, and that's it. Okay. Suppose that I want those who are single and divorced. So I want people who are not married and so I'm going to say marital status is equal to 1. And let me put a parenthesis around this. And those who are marital status is equal to 3. Those are the divorced people. So let's see what happens here. Continue and OK. I'm not going to save this information file. So notice what happens, and this is that all people are not included. Okay. Now, why is it that no one is included in this data set? Okay, notice there's not one person included in the data set. Go back and think this through. So I'm going to go down here to data, select cases, and actually someone cannot be single and divorced. So I'm going to put here, instead of and, I'm going to put or. So if you are single, I will include you in the data set. Or if you are divorced, I will include you. You'll see that if you're a 2, you're excluded. If you're a 1, you're in the data set. If you're a 4, you're excluded. But if you are a 3, you're in the data set. So in the data set, you can only be coded as a 1 or a 3. So in this case, we want to put 1 or 3 in the data set. But now suppose I want to find all the people who are single or divorced and Latino. So now I'm going to put the marital status stuff in brackets to keep it all together. So if marital status is 1 or marital status is 2 and ethnicity is equal to 3. Close my parentheses. I'm going to do continue and OK. Get rid of this stuff. I'm not going to save it right now. Okay, so now let's look at what we have here. 2s are out. 1 a marital status you can be in, but you have to have ethnicity equal to 5. So here's someone who we can see whose marital status is equal to 1. They're single and they're Latina. Here's someone who is Latina, but they're divorced, so they're not in the data set. Here's someone who's Latina and single, and so on. If you see that the ones that are not crossed out have satisfied both of the conditions. Okay, so we can select who we are looking for, but we need to be careful about how we're doing it and double check. Also, a lot of people, when they're done selecting, they'll make a habit of going back and resetting select cases to all cases, because you don't want to inadvertently analyze a subset of a data set when you really did intend to do the whole data set in the first place.